Playing aggressive in Fortnite is more about than just running at every sound you hear. It's a mindset, a way of approaching the game where you're not sitting back waiting for things to happen. You're out there making them happen. But that doesn't mean that it's all chaos. Real aggressive players have a plan. They understand how the game flows, where the opportunities are hiding, and when it's time to strike. Confidence is at the center of it all. But that confidence has to come from experience and understanding. You need to know why you're taking a fight, what you're hoping to gain from it, and how you're going to win it before you even pull the trigger. Every push should be intentional, whether taking control of a popular POI or isolating a solo opponent who's out of a position. There needs to be a goal behind every single move. That's how you stay aggressive without being reckless. A lot of players think that being aggressive means fighting all the time, but that's just not the case. Being smart with your aggression means knowing when the odds are in your favor. You don't just push because someone is nearby, you push because they're distracted, healing, unaware, or clearly not in the right position to fight back effectively. Maybe they just got out of a fight and haven't recovered. Maybe they're boxed up on low ground, making their situation even worse. Knowing when to capitalize on those small windows makes all the difference. At the same time, knowing when not to push is just as important. If you're low on materials, health, or ammo, you have to respect the fact that forcing a fight could leave you worse off, even if you win. The best aggressive players are patient. They wait for the exact right moment to go all in, and when they do it, it's with complete control. One of the biggest weapons in your aggressive toolkit is your movement. It's what allows you to close gaps quickly, reposition mid-fight, and escape when things get messy. In Fortnite, movement isn't just a way to get from one place to another, it's a way to control the pace of the game. The more unpredictable and fast you are, the harder is it for your enemies to keep up. Climbing over obstacles, sliding under builds, sprinting through tight spaces, every bit of movement can become part of your attack. High-level players use movement not just to avoid damage, but to set up damage. If you can master faster and smarter than your opponents, you'll force them to make mistakes. They'll misplace builds, miss shots, or lose track of you entirely. That's the power of mastering movement. It turns you into a constant threat, one that's hard to pin down or predict. But even with great movement means nothing without understanding how your weapons and utility can be used to your advantage. You don't have to focus on specific guns or items to play aggressively. You just need to know what tools you have and how to use them in the moment. Are you equipped to force a close range engagement, or should you be softening your opponents before you pushing them? Can your utility give you a quick entry into a box, or is it better used to escape and reset? Good players know their inventory inside and out, but great players know how to make decisions based on what they have. They'll scan their loadout and instantly know how to fight, when to fight, and how to outplay someone with that loadout. Even with a bad loadout, aggressive players will make it work because they know how to maximize every piece of it. That ability to adapt on the fly is closely tied to your awareness of the map. Knowing the terrain, where players are like to rotate, and where fights are likely to break out gives you the upper hand before the fights even begin. It's not just about landing in a high traffic area and hoping for action, it's about being in control of the map. When you understand your surroundings, you can anticipate where players will go, catch them off guard, and take fights on your own terms. Rotating early to zone, holding key high ground positions, and controlling choke points aren't just defensive plays, they're aggressive strategies that force enemies to react to you, and when you combine that with good timing, you can completely dominate an area without even building yet. Of course, building becomes a massive part of your aggression once fights actually start, but building aggressively isn't just spamming walls and ramps forward, it's about controlling space, creating pressure, and forcing your opponents into uncomfortable positions. Fast builds to take height, pressure from multiple angles, clever piece placement to block movement, these things separate random box pushers from actual threats in game. When you're aggressive with your builds, you're putting constant pressure on your opponent to defend, and eventually that pressure cracks them. But the other half of the equation is editing. You can build a great box or ramp into someone, but if you don't know how to follow up with a clean, quick edits, you're giving your opponent a chance to recover. Editing aggressively means opening up angles your enemy can't predict, switching elevation mid-fight, or faking edits to bait out a panic move. In close fights, your editing is your offensive edge. It's how you convert pressure into eliminations. But even with all the movement, building, and planning in this world, you can't be aggressive without knowing what's happening around you. Sound is one of the most underrated parts of aggressive play, but it's absolutely crucial. Every footstep, reload, or build placement tells you something. Is someone low on mats and panicking? Are they holding their ground and waiting for a peek? Are they distracted by a third party? You can figure all that out by listening closely. Pair those audio cues with what you're seeing, their builds, the way they move, the loot on the ground, and you start forming a complete picture of what kind of fight you're walking into. This awareness is how you avoid falling into traps, how you dodge getting third-partied, and how you make decisions that keep you one step ahead. Now, even when you're playing well, aggressive play will drain your resources fast. You're spending mats to fight, using ammo every engagement, and burning health if you're not careful. That's why managing your resources becomes so important. You can't just win one fight and chill. You gotta be thinking about how to recover, how to reset, how to get ready for the next fight before it even starts. Smart players always loot quickly after fights, prioritize what they really need, and stay efficient with what they use. They're not wasting materials to overbuild in fights, they can win cleanly. They're not dumping all the heals unless they absolutely have to. They understand that keeping their resources high is what lets them keep pushing aggressively over and over and over again without getting caught with nothing. It's this balance, being aggressive while still preparing for what's next, that separates sustainable aggression from desperation. And as you improve, one of the biggest traits you'll need to develop is adaptability. Fortnite changes constantly. Every update brings a new meta, new weapons, new items, and sometimes totally different pacing. Players who cling to one version of aggression or try to force the same playstyle every season fall behind way too fast. True aggression players are learners. They're always studying how the game works now, not just how it worked last season. They're watching how top tier players fight, figuring out what kinds of rotations are working best, and adapting their own play to fit what the game is rewarding. Sometimes that means slowing down just a little to set up the perfect push. Other times it means speeding things up to beat someone in the punch. If you're willing to evolve with the game, you'll always find a way to play aggressive and stay ahead of the competition. That kind of adaptability also helps you when you're reading opponents in real time. Not every enemy plays the same, especially with the video that I just posted about how to be so unpredictable that no one can fight you, so go watch that after this one. And part of being aggressive is knowing who you're up against. Some players turtle up and wait for you to overcommit. Others fight back hard and fast. When you recognize these patterns early, you can change how you approach each fight. Against a passive player, you might push harder, edit faster, and force them to panic. Against an aggressive player like yourself, you might bait them into wasting materials or overextending. Understanding playstyles and being able to shift your own to encounter them gives you control. Even in chaotic fights, you're not just reacting, you're dictating the terms of each engagement. And when the fight is over, your aggression doesn't stop. How you reset after a fight is just as important as the fight itself. Heal quickly, refarm, scan your surroundings, and be ready for the next third party or rotation. That level of readiness lets you chain together fights, dominating an area without losing momentum, and you become the player people are scared to engage with. The one who doesn't stop moving, doesn't stop winning, and doesn't give anyone else a break. And in the end, playing aggressive in Fortnite is like an art, like I said in my past videos. It's not about being mindless, it's about being calculated, confident, and once again, and most importantly, fearless. It's knowing when to fight and when to fall back, how to push and how to control space, and how to constantly force your opponents into making the wrong decisions. Aggressive players don't wait for the perfect situation, they always make that situation perfect for them. They use movement, awareness, building, utility, and raw game sense to overwhelm their enemies and win fights on their own terms. And as you continue refining your skills, you'll find that the line between playing smart and playing aggressive becomes thinner and thinner until eventually it's the same exact thing for you guys. Once again, playing super aggressive does not mean just running into any fight with anything. Play with intention, and if you guys want to level up your confidence, make sure you guys are practicing those same situations over and over again with like 1v2 clutch realistics or like Martaz Turtle Wars, where you're always in the same situation over and over again so you guys can build up your confidence. And aggression after you build up your confidence is way easier. And if you want to master aggressive play, keep learning, keep pushing your limits, and never stop evolving with the game. You don't have to play safe to win, you just have to play smart and fast. Push with purpose, fight with confidence, and let every opponent know from the second they see you, you're not backing down. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you learned something new, drop a comment telling me your Fortnite role, and don't forget to use code FLOWIN in the Fortnite item shop. I love you all, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace y'all.